What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In particular, welcome to PCP Movie Night. Even more in particular, welcome to the kickoff of ActionFest 2023 here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host, Rockin' Robbie Bills. We got a great panel tonight to kick us off with one of the most celebrated action-adventure franchises out there, which is now complete, the complete saga. We'll be talking about all 5 Indiana Jones films. We're not going to be talking about the Chronicles of Young Indiana Jones. We'll save that for another time. In fact, I think Mike the Voice Matthews is planning on developing an entire YouTube channel to dive deep into that, and we all really want that to succeed. Anyway, station, pop, pop, boom. So yes, tonight, Indiana Jones, the entire franchise, all 5 films reviewed. We're going to have a great time tonight. We've been waiting to do this pretty much for the entirety of Pop Culture Philosophers, which we are now 8 years old. So we're almost at drinking age. So speaking of almost at drinking age, Island Boy Manuel is here. What is up, my man?
Dude, I am so excited to be here. ActionFest, man. This might be my it's like my third ActionFest. I wanted to say it was my first, but no, it's like my third, I think.
How many have we done here officially? Now, we've been doing ActionFest unofficially for like a long time, years. Like we always do it during the summer. We watch action movies and stuff like that. But I think this is the 3rd or 4th annual official one for PCB. Maybe 4th. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But we've covered some really great franchises, some really great films, and I'm very excited to have you back to talk about the Indiana Jones franchise. And we can't be talking about anything from Kathleen Kennedy or Lucasfilm without having Jelani here. What is up, my man?
Damn straight. What's up? Pop and boom. Station and shit. Am I all like?
No,
am I
you're
all
fine.
messed up?
No, you're fine. I just love the station and shit.
Yeah, station and shit.
Speaking
Yeah,
of station
I'm
and shit,
excited.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Bro,
Good to be here.
Speaking of I'm good. It's Mike. What is up, my man? How you doing? You're muted.
He is committing to the bit.
All right. We also got the one and the only, the magnificent one himself, Brooks. What is up, my man? See, that's how you do a bit, Mike. Anyway, all right. And Mike always does the microphone muted bit. Sometimes I do it unintentionally. That's what we do. All right, so we're here to talk about Indiana Jones, and we appreciate everybody being here out in the chat. Thank you so much. We want you to join the conversation as well. Overall, I would consider myself an Indiana Jones fan. I grew up on those 3 movies. I loved those 3 movies. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I used to staunchly defend back when it first came out. This has been the first time I've revisited that one since it first came out, pretty much. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one, y'all. It's going to be cool. Ariaga, all the ones for this week actually were pretty solid. Definitely pay attention to the Zatanna one and the Flash one written by our buddy Alex Packnadell. But moving on, just real quick. You a fan of the franchise overall, Manny?
Oh, dude, I was 3 when Last Crusade dropped. So my favorite Indiana Jones movies are the ones with Rick O'Connell in them. But this is still a pretty good franchise.
All right. What about you, Delaney? You a fan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I am, but I like. There are more bad ones than good ones, so I'll say like, yeah, I'm still a fan because I watched Last Crusade in the theater in '89.
Nice.
And it was freaking awesome. It was life changing. It was my first Indiana Jones movie, and then I went back and watched like Temple of Doom. I was like, what the crap? And then you know how we go.
All right. Well, you're burying the lead there a little bit because you said most of these films are not good in your opinion. So I think I know the 3 that you don't think are the best. Mike, what about you? A fan of the franchise?
Oh yeah, I would have to put this as my number 2 overall favorite franchise.
Behind what? James Bond or something?
Mission Impossible being number 1.
Yeah, because it's awesome now.
Only half of the Mission Impossible movies are good. That's all I'm gonna say. Right.
Hey man, like
after this week though, over half I hope will be good.
Oh yeah, I see no problems with this new one.
I don't even care. It's 2.5 hours long, man. I really don't. I'm just like it could be longer. Mike's like, I'm gonna watch it 3 times this week. I'm like, bruh.
They better have all the outtakes of like Tom Cruise jumping off the thing with the motorcycle. I want to see all of them.
Man,
damn it.
I did. I don't know if I signed up for the AMC Movie Pass. It's like $20 a month, and what is it? I'm seeing it on IMAX this week. It's like $18 after tax. So it's just kind of like, why not sign up for the gold? I want to watch this thing 3 times. It's like either spend $20 or $60. So
yeah, it makes sense.
But
Brooks,
awesome.
Brooks, you consider yourself a fan of the franchise?
Not so much. Like I did watch the movies as a kid. I would say I'm more a fan of the character of Indiana Jones than the movies themselves. Like I always, he's a very iconic character, with the hat and the whip and the Harrison Ford handsomeness and everything. But I do like the movies, but I wouldn't say like I'd never seen Crystal Skull. Like I'd seen the first 3, but I'd never seen Crystal Skull until this moment. So overall, I'd say it's a pretty solid action franchise overall.
Based on everybody's responses to that question, are you a fan overall of the franchise? I think we're gonna have a really interesting conversation tonight. All right, so we have all watched all 5 of these films within just the last week or 2, right? And including the new one, Dial of Destiny. We'll get to that. There's a lot of people on YouTube sharing some opinions about that. They all seem to be the same fucking opinion. Anyway, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It all starts in 1981. That's right. The year I was born, the year that we were gifted Rockin' Robbie Bills, we were also gifted Indiana Jones. Now, we know the lore. We know the story. We know the mythology. We know that Steven Spielberg wanted to do a James Bond movie. But they couldn't get the rights to do a James Bond movie. So then they decided, well, let's just kind of do our own spin on it. George Lucas comes in, he's talking to him, he develops, George Lucas loves this idea of like referencing the Pulp Fiction stuff from the 30s and the 40s, right? And that's what they do. And they do something better than making a James Bond movie. Just another James Bond movie? No, they create their own franchise. And honestly, Raiders of the Lost Ark is so monumental for us, for film, for the, like, we all like to bitch about film today. Oh, everything's got to be a franchise. Everything's got to be this. Everything's got to have humor. Everything's got to have action. It's all cookie cutter. It all starts with this movie, which is a great movie, right? But so many people I think people are still trying to imitate Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Because it's got this blend of action, adventure, humor, and romance, right? And everybody's been trying to capture that ever since, including the franchise. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I really, really enjoy this film. I have always had the unpopular opinion that it wasn't the best Indiana Jones film. And most people are like, yo, Raiders is like Raiders or Die, right? Like that's the one, that's the cool one. And the rest of them are varying degrees of success. Raiders is awesome, actually, though. On the rewatch, I enjoyed it probably more this time than I ever have. And it's just because I was recognizing, like, bro, that whole Marvel formula ripped right from Indiana Jones. Now, Indiana Jones steals this shit from James Bond. Like, I was watching Total Recall show with Tom Scioli, right? And they were talking about Indiana. They got a lot of conversations about Indiana Jones. And they're like, the whole quippy thing, you could say it starts with Indy, but that's all a reference to James Bond. James Bond is like the first action franchise where it's like action scene, fun quip. You know what I'm saying? Like, the pen is mightier than the sword. He actually says that. They use that line in Last Crusade. Raiders works, though. And I've always been into biblical history and biblical mythology and all that kind of stuff. So the Ark of the Covenant, the Nazis, the villains that you can have, that you can do whatever you want to a Nazi on film. And it's okay. Nobody's like Indiana Jones could have raped one of these Nazis. You know what I'm saying? And people would have been like, they're a Nazi. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those kind of things. But I really like it with a spoon. Anyway, Michonne did that in Walking Dead. Anyway, so I really like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Manny, tell me your thoughts overall, and what do you give it out of a scale of 0 to 5? You digs. You out there in the chat, let us know what you think about Raiders.
I don't have the strong nostalgic bond to Indiana Jones. I think I grew up, the Mummy movies were my Indiana Jones, and then into my like young adult, it was Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series on PlayStation. Like that's my Indiana Jones. That being said, objectively, Raiders is a phenomenally shot film. It pacing wise, we get action, and then when we do get the slower moments. I think one of the things that I can really appreciate about this is it's not beating us over the head with like historical jargon. It's like romantic interludes. It's very easy to understand historical puzzles, and then you're right back into the action again. I do think it because there's so many set pieces, especially like the climax with like the plane and everything, tons of explosions and everything. I do feel like that's a bit overwrought, but there's just something really fun and popcorn about it. Harrison Ford's charisma is insane. I love the villain in this, that Belloc or whatever his name is, the French guy. I love that guy. I don't think that there has been a foil for Indy that's matched Belloc in any of the other films. I really like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's my favorite of the franchise, and just on technical merit alone, it's my 1.5 for the year. I think this is a damn good film.
Wow, a 5 you digs for Raiders of the Lost Ark from Manny. All right. A perfect score, and it's got a great cast, right? You got Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford nails it. Now, George Lucas didn't want Harrison Ford to be Indiana Jones because he's like, yo, he's already Han Solo, and like Jedi hadn't come out yet. This is after Empire, and he's like, yo, he's my dude. And what happened was Steven Spielberg was watching a screening of Empire Strikes Back, and he's like, why can't we just get this dude? Because Tom Selleck was too busy because of Magnum PI, because it was supposed to be Tom Selleck, right? And many other people had been considered for this role. And George Lucas had to be convinced into it, but it works. Like Harrison Ford dominated He dominates these films of our childhood that we love so much, the Star Wars, the Indiana Jones. And one thing that you cannot downplay is how influential Spielberg and Lucas are to film right now. Everybody is still trying to capture what they did, whether it's the technical craft and skill that Spielberg has or the licensing savvy that George Lucas has. Everybody's trying to make the next Indy, the next Star Wars, and have they done it? Probably not. James Gunn's come close, maybe a little bit, but nothing has ever hit like Indy or Star Wars has. Not in our lifetimes. I mean, I dare anybody in the chat to give me a franchise at work. It ain't Avatar. You know what I'm saying? And it definitely ain't Jumper. As much as we wanted more Jumper sequels, that would have been cool. Anyway, speaking of Jumper, Jumpin' Jelani, what is up, my man? I know you love that Hayden Christensen classic. Why don't you tell us, though, what you think about Raiders of the Lost Ark and rate it for us?
To be honest, yes, I do love Jumper. I love that. I love his suit. I love his power. He
That's
can
a good movie.
teleport. He
Jumper's
can
a really
teleport.
good movie.
It's really good. I really like that movie. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, and guess what else I really enjoy? Raiders of the Lost Ark. It starts it all. It's amazing. The John Williams score, da, 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 the way it begins, the entire thing where Indiana Jones goes in, he thinks this idol weighs a certain amount that this little bag of sand will compensate for, and then a big ball chases him, and Alfred Molina dies. It's a crazy opening for an exceptional film.
Not to interrupt you, but this is something I noticed when I was watching this movie last week. When that big boulder comes down, it's like on this ramp thing before it drops down into the tunnel.
He could just run forward.
He could just wait
and
let the fucking rock go first.
But the thing is, the rock would have blocked him. Like it would have blocked the entrance.
You're right.
So
you get the no prize, Jelani. You get
run, Forrest, run. But it's such an epic film. Like I like all the characters. Bellic is amazing. Sala is solid. There's so many just little fun things in this movie, and the best part about it is Harrison Ford's smile. Something about him enjoying what he's doing, and he does this for a living. And this, well, not even for a living. It's just kind of a hobby where he's almost dying every chance he gets, and losing all his artifacts, and all these crazy things are happening to him, and he finally gets the Ark and the Covenant, and you got to go find this thing before the Nazis do. And I'm yeah, but technically he could have just left it alone. He should have just left it alone and been yeah, okay, whatever. The Nazis find it. The problem is because Bellic would have opened it and they would have died. It's been easy.
Yeah, Finley was messaging me earlier. Matt Finley, not Mike, but Matt, right? Finley was messaging me. He's like, y'all going to talk about how Indiana Jones didn't even need to be involved in the whole plot. It would have all taken care of itself.
Take care of itself. It's easy. Neat little bow. The end. But he had to, and that's why we got this film. And it's absolutely baller. It's practical effects. The matte paintings are so beautiful and efficient. I like the scene where he's trying to get the light in the right spot, and the light comes in, and it's duh, duh, the music swells and it hits the light. Oh my god, it's amazing. This movie is so baller. It starts the trend. It's an action hero doing action hero things. I really appreciate it. It's 5 you digs all around. Marion is absolutely great in this too. I thought she was, when I was a little kid, I thought she was a little shrill, but man, I get used to her. She is awesome.
I actually have more of an appreciation for Karen Allen having watched Starman again recently, right? Because she's amazing in Starman.
I like Starman too. I forgot about that movie. I do like that movie. Yeah.
Tiff spent like 10 minutes of that film just trying to figure out when the hell did she play a reporter, man. Well, I know we watched a movie recently where she was a reporter. I was like, dude, you are totally thinking of Lois Lane in Superman.
Margot Kidder.
Yeah, they're identical. They're identical people.
Yep. They could both play it interchangeably, but Margot Kidder is better. I like Margot Kidder. Yeah. But yeah.
All right. So 2 perfect scores so far for Raiders. You out there in the chat, what do you think? Let us know. Now, Mike, What do you think overall about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and what do you rate it?
First off, introspective M, the scene that you're talking about in the chat, it's Tote that pulls out the chain.
Yeah, Tote's the henchman, the one that has his face melted at the end that everybody loves.
And that's such a great character too, because he's so mean and just menacing looking and creepy.
That's a great scene too, because you think that he's got this thing he's gonna like whip them with, and it's just a fucking hanger.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he enters the bar, you know, and when he first meets Marion, and it's just kind of like he's still very intimidating and very scary, but then he also screams the highest, you know, when he gets his face melted off of all three at the end.
So would you, right? Like one dude's head just explodes and he's like melting. Now, real quick, I do want to say this, like one of the reasons why this is so influential, like 2 moments in this movie where you set up a threat and then you just completely dismiss it. Like the hanger bit, and then the bit where the dude's like swinging the swords and Indy just shoots him. Like, right? And Tom Scioli was like, you know, that was cool then. Now everybody does it, and it's just sad and depressing. We want to see the fight now. Like, stop doing this, y'all. Like, stop trying to mimic the same thing, because now it's the trope.
Yeah, and this movie is responsible for a lot of tropes. Like, there's so many, the boulder scene, the shooting first, and an armed combat. I mean, just there's so much that's, you know, this movie has done for cinema history. That's amazing. And one of my favorite scenes is when Indy's like that one dude that looks like Damon Wayans. I think he jumps on a truck, and when the Ark's on a truck and he jumps on it, and it's a guy driving, and he just makes this weird face, and dude looks like Damon Wayans, even though Damon's probably like 13 at the time. So that always kind of threw me off. I didn't know if it was like one of those Larry Fishburne kind of things in Apocalypse Now, but it was not. But I'll have to say this movie's I'll give it a perfect score of 5 also. I mean, it's the first one. It's it set everything up. It's the one that you fall in love with. It made you fear snakes, and like how many times it's like, oh man, I don't want to run into a cobra.
It's a lot of snakes.
That's one of my favorite bits too, when he's like, snakes, why did it have to be snakes? And then Zala's like, asps, very dangerous, you go first.
I love that whole sequence. I love how they're like 10 feet away from the Nazis digging with and then nobody looks up the hill. And Indy, even during the most dramatic point when the sun is setting and he's in full silhouette, takes off his robes and puts on a fucking Indiana Jones costume. Like, you can see his silhouette it's intentionally framed that way.
Yeah, it's one of the most recognizable silhouettes, right? And they're just like, look over and they're like, I think they're over there.
Yeah.
You're right. The Mummy pulled a lot from this one, man. Like, as I was watching this, there's so much throughout all of these movies, in the new one in particular and in Raiders, where the bad guys are just always a step behind, and they're basically just following the heroes, right? And it always makes me think of that bit from the Mummy where like, you're on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah.
Because was that in Dial where they're like, no, it's Last Crusade where they're like, they're digging in the wrong place.
Yeah.
All right, 3 perfect scores already. What about you, Brooks? What did you think about Raiders of the Lost Ark overall, and what do you rate it?
I like Raiders. I think it's probably the most Steven Spielberg of the Indiana Jones movies. It's but I mean, I have my problems with all of them. But I think Raiders is I wouldn't say it's the best one, but I'd say it's the second best one. I'd give it a 4. Sorry to break your perfect streak on this one, but it's still like a really fun movie. Like it does set up, you know, the character of Indiana Jones. I like the character. I like Marion Ravenwood. Like, I don't think any other like female lead in an Indiana Jones movie has really lived up to her standard.
You're right.
But yeah, it's great, and you know, it introduces like pretty much all the things, like the whip, the gun, the like all the over the top action stuff. Like every Indiana Jones movie has like these crazy jump the shark moments where you're like, that wouldn't happen. Like, that's not how that would happen. And it all begins here.
Yeah, Joe, Brooks does not disappoint, does he? That totally
Joe's
distracted
already
me from
know.
what I was about to say. I had something I was going to say following you up, but I don't even remember what it was now, because now I just always think of when Joe's like, my favorite bit is when everybody raves about a movie and we get to Brooks. I'm glad that you broke the streak. I'm not going to give this a perfect score, right? But I do want to know, Brooks, like what are some of the things that make it a 4 as opposed to a 5, like these other schlubs up here?
I think a lot of the humor doesn't really land for me. Like some of it, like it's kind of got that stupid, goofy humor from back in the day. Like when he's in the plane and like he's like, there's a snake, and he's like, that's my pet snake. It's like, why the fuck does this dude have his pet snake on this plane first? And like, how did Indiana Jones not know that it was there on the trip there? I don't know. It's just like,
snakes coil up, they hide under shit, Brooks. And Reggie is a fucking treasure, okay? He should be on every plane all the time.
There you go.
Man, I don't know
Get
about
that
snakes on a
motherfucking
plane.
snake off this motherfucking plane.
So I really like Raiders. And, you know, one of the things that I like to say about Amazing Fantasy 15, that first Spider-Man story, The Origin by Ditko and Lee, right? That is like 8 or 10 pages or whatever, maybe 12. But everything that is Spider-Man is there. Everything that is Indiana Jones is in that opening sequence. Every single bit. Everything is there. The attitude, the costume, the booby traps, the helper, the friend who like betrays him, you know, like everything. That's proto indie right there. Like that opening scene, all you got to do is just kind of play variations on that. And that's what they do for 5 movies. I'll give this movie a 4.5 because I know that Horror Fest is coming up. So there's gonna be a lot of 5s given out from me during Horror Fest. So I like, you know, I just wanted like, got to get back into critic mode for Action Fest. You know what I'm saying? But 4.5, I think it's a really solid movie. It's a great introduction to the character, brilliant performances from all involved. Some of the best villains in the franchise are in Raiders, 100%, but not my favorite villains at all. And it's not my favorite indie movie. And in fact, I've had the same favorite indie movie my entire life. And I don't know, it might change tonight. I don't know, but I'm giving Raiders a 4.5. So a 4.5 from me, a 4 from Brooks, and a 5 from everybody else here on the panel for a PCP average, 4.69. That sounds right. All right, Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Then we moved to 1984, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This was the one that I always claimed was my favorite Indiana Jones movie. I think it was the first one I ever saw, right? I think we owned it. Maybe it was on HBO. I don't know. But I watched Temple of Doom all the goddamn time. Y'all know me. I'm the horror nut, right? This is the most dark and horrific Indiana Jones movie out there. I love the fucking cult thing. I love all the voodoo, the blood, drinking the blood. But what I really love about this movie is dude ripping the hearts out of people, still beating, catching on fire. That awesome freaking set of the Temple of Doom, the glowing stones in the skull, the dinner scene with Dawson from Street Fighter. That's Dawson from Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene so much. In fact, I was eating pizza rolls when I was watching Temple of Doom. When we got to the bit where the dude's eating the bugs, you know, and he like rips it off. I was eating my pizza rolls that way, y'all. I was ripping it off and taking off. Like, I was like, I'm acting out the goddamn movie. And I've been doing that since I was a kid. I fucking love Temple of Doom. And I will die on this fucking hill. Is it my favorite? I don't know. I have to see where we go by the end of the night. But man, I fucking love Temple of Doom. I love Short Round. But man, this time I really, really was annoyed by Willie. Like, oh my gosh, she annoyed. This was the first time in my life where she just annoyed the shit out of me. Was it Kate Capshaw? Right?
Kate
Steven
Capshaw.
Spielberg's wife, right? They met
Yep.
on the set, right?
Yep.
But you want to talk about the Indiana Jones like homages to James Bond, like the opening scene. He's dressed like James Bond. And I kind of like it. It's a different kind of approach. It doesn't have the Nazis. They wanted to do something different. It's technically a prequel. I love Short Round so much. And when you're a kid, like I wanted to be on the adventures with Indiana Jones. I love the whole child slavery angle that they have to get into. And there's something noble that he's doing. It's not just saving the world from Nazis trying to get some kind of ancient spiritual relic, but it's like he's literally like saving these people's lives. He's helping this village out. It has this darkness to it that I absolutely love and still love. Man, Willie is annoying as fuck this time that I watched it, but I can be a little bit more forgiving of that. I saw a reviewer say, if you put Kate Capshaw in the Sean Connery role in Last Crusade, it's the same fucking role, but nobody has a problem with Sean Connery like playing it, right? But we'll get to that when we get to that. I love Temple of Doom. So y'all be careful what you say as we approach. Manny, Temple of Doom, what do you think overall? What do you rate?
Dude, my first viewing of Temple of Doom, somebody took me to a youth group night and they were having like an Indiana Jones themed youth event. And this is the one they played. Like I had
a church youth group?
Yeah, which was
a perfect
surprising.
movie for a church youth group, right?
It was surprising to me after I got older and I saw the other ones. It was like the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, some like mystic stones in India. Like they had different options they could have went with, but they went with Temple of Doom, and it was good. It was fun. I didn't get to sit and watch the entire thing on that first viewing, so most of what I knew of it came from the NES game and just trying to make it to the minecart level. So as I got older and I watched it, it was one of those ones that's on in the background. It was never one I sat down to watch. It's the first time in my life where I sat down and I watched the entirety of Temple of Doom. And it's the first time in a long time that I decided I wanted to read 0 Hour during a film. Like I
you just compared this shit to 0 Hour?
No. I'm not comparing it to 0 Hour.
You'd
what I'm saying is
0 Hour.
I'm working on a Green Lantern video right now, and I was like, I need to get ready for Rebirth. 0 Hour is an important story. I'm gonna do show research rather than watch an Indiana Jones movie. The film
Are you talking about Final Night? What the fuck does 0 Hour have to
need 0 Hour before Final Night? Because 0 Hour is a parallax story. You don't get
Bro, me and Jelani covered 0 Hour already. Dude, it sucks, man.
It does suck so bad.
It's pretty trash.
It does get the last part is okay. The parallax stuff is okay. I like I like Batgirl having to fucking struggle with whether or not she exists and like her desire to still exist. Like there's some cool shit in that last issue. The rest of it's garbage. But regardless, I fucking did that rather than put my full attention to Temple of Doom. Kate Capshaw is I would have rather listened to Terry Bradshaw bumble through this fucking lines than Kate Capshaw. This was so stupid. Like, I get the menace of the villain. When they're in the temple, that shit's cool. The action set pieces are fucking cool. They're awesome. All right. It's everything in between. The opening sequence, which with the lounge singing, I still don't understand what the fuck they're looking for, the eye of the penguin or peacock or whatever the fuck it is. I don't understand any of that. And then they're just in India, and they're and that the movie happens. It's a lot of action. It doesn't have. I don't want to say grounded, because Raiders is not grounded. They open up a fucking box and flaming columns blow up heads or melt Nazis. But there's something like totally off the rails with this one. If I had to compare it to a modern action film, I would say that if you enjoyed like Thor Ragnarok, this is Love and Thunder. This is where they took what worked.
The fuck, dude?
It is, dude. They
0 Hour and Love and Thunder. Those are your comparisons.
They took what kind of worked. Taika Waititi's humor worked in Ragnarok, and they were like, fuck it, let's just give them a bunch of that. And there's even screaming goats, just like screaming Kate Capshaw. The shit just continues on. That said, it's an okay action. The set pieces are good. So that one I'm gonna go with. I don't have a 2 you dig, so it's a 2 you digs. I have a
fucking you digs.
No. Here we'll go. 2.5. 2.5. That's the graphic I got.
2.5.
Yeah, he's still charismatic. He's still Harrison Ford. I just don't think this film pushes the envelope. And they knew that. They're like, we'll set it a year behind, so that at least we could say, if nothing else, this was just the beginning of his adventure. And it was so bad, Harrison Ford forgot it. Because in Raiders, he's like, mumbo jumbo magic. I don't believe in that shit. After he just saw like all of that shit in the Temple of Doom, these weird stones glow because you're not doing Shiva's will. It burned the guy's hand.
He literally makes him glow at the end when he says the magic words.
Yeah, but
you're
fucking
right.
magical mumbo jumbo.
Indiana Jones like has like this weird kind of memory loss when it comes to like all the weird magical shit he sees.
Until Dial of Destiny, when they directly reference Temple of Doom for the first fucking time.
Well, even in that movie, he says magic isn't real.
Dude,
it depends on if you believe in it hard enough. He's a chaos magician. That's what it is.
It's an alternate timeline. Temple of Doom, you got Raiders, and they got Last Crusade.
Are we in Halloween territory now? This is the multiverse?
Temple of
the
Doom.
Indieverse?
It is. Temple of Doom then goes into Crystal Skull.
Into the Indieverse. All right, 2.5. Jesus Christ. All right, 2.5 from Manny. By the way, my favorite villain in the franchise is from this movie. That dude's fucking badass. Especially at the end when he's like, I'll drop the rocks, goddammit. And he's like, drop them, we'll find them. Nobody will find you, motherfucker.
He's the most threatening. He's definitely the most threatening. That Nazi guy in the first one, he's a goofy looking motherfucker. I could not be scared of that guy. His name's like.
Aren't you scared of my hanger?
Yeah. No, you look like someone I cheated in algebra off of, motherfucker. Go.
Our buddy Jay says you just Cali mobbed me, man. You sure fucking did. All right, Jelani, let's let the hate continue to roll on through, man. What do you think about Temple of Doom, my man?
At least Indiana Jones is halfway decent in this movie. I have hated this movie for years, for absolute decades. It's all Willie. It's all Willie. Willie is like the trash of this. She's like now as far as analogies go, like Dark Knight is good, but like it'd be better if Maggie Gyllenhaal wasn't in it. That's kind of situation it is. I'm not trying to woman hate or anything like that. It's just there's one character. There'd be one character that you just take it out and it's okay, and I'm all right, and that's Willie. Willie makes this movie like insufferable. Like I would have left her like immediately. Like she wouldn't have made it out the restaurant. Like we wouldn't. I don't know how she got the rest other than she had the antidote. I'm like, oh crap, she got the antidote. I gotta save my life. She is awful. She is, and it does go from. You're right, Manny. It is kind of a jumble hodgepodge of scenes and things like that. Now, for years, I hated Short Round. I couldn't stand Short Round. And I've watched Temple of Doom. I tried to skip it for so many years. But going to Short Round, watching it this time, I appreciate Short Round. Short Round is kind of, and I hate to say this, he is the heart of this film now. Now that I've like really like put it together. Short Round, he's a kid. He lost both of his parents. Indy basically raises him or teaches him. I don't know what the hell happened to him after this. They probably sold him off or something. But
I like to think he died tragically on some kind of fucking.
He died horribly immediately following this. Like he was in that village and they ate him, and Indy was just like, "God, get the hell out of here."
I really hate that they didn't bring him in to Dial of Destiny for just a cameo, man.
Don't even get me started. I got a whole list of stuff I got to talk about. But for this movie, it is a compilation of scenes and stuff happens. It is scary. It's dark. It has its moments. It's whatever. I kind of like. I couldn't get into it the way I wanted to because Willie is there. Willie does nothing right. She did one thing right, and that was to save them by sticking her hand in the bug thing. Shut up, Will, shut up. So she does it, saves them.
I guarantee.
And then turns around. Hold on. Then she turns around and fucks it up by hitting the button again so that they get trapped in there again. I was like, oh, fuck you, Willie.
All right.
Willie.
I guarantee, and I bet Brooks can attest to this, but I guarantee, Jelani, if you had to reach your hand in some shit with a bunch of bugs, you would be acting exactly the same fucking way.
I would, but you know what? I save your life. I save your life and then not hit the damn button behind me. No, fuck that. Fuck Willie. Fuck Willie.
The only thing I can say is
hurts.
She was kidnapped. Like that's fucked up. There's no reason she needs to be there at all. Like Jelani said,
no,
he could have taken the ass.
He wanted some ass. He wanted some ass, and like Willie was there and available and cute, And he was like, "Oh God!" But like her attitude the whole trip, like, "I hate this food. You better eat this food, or these folks will eat you." It was just so much stuff. Oh, chew monkey brains, and she falls out. And I'm like, And then she like eats his apple when he gets her fruit. Oh God, she's just so shrill and annoying, and like she wants it, and then she's like, "Oh, you got to work for it." And I'm like, "Man, fuck Willie, fuck Willie." To your digs, I'm right there with you, dog. Short Round is better in this movie. I feel better about this because when he burned Indy, and he was like, "You're my friend, I love you," and it was just so cute. I don't know what it was this time that I saw it. I was like, Indy had he had a real son. Like this was his first kid. And he really, I think he did a good job with this kid other than getting him killed or got him ate. I have no clue what happened to Short Round after this movie.
I love when they're playing cards and he's like, "I'm little, you cheat big."
You cheat big. Yeah. And he cheated the whole time.
Dr. Jones, no time for love.
No time for love. At first, I hated that kid. And it took me years because the last time I saw this movie was like 2002 or something like that. And I was like, fuck this movie. And I still fuck this movie. But it's all because Willie. And I thought about it for a long time. I was like, yeah, this would be great if she wasn't in it.
All right.
I love that. I love that John Carpenter and Gary Goldman saw this film and were like, we could do it better. And they did with Big Trouble in Little China. Same fucking movie.
Same movie.
100 times better.
I agree.
All right. So a 2.5 from Annie and a 2 from Jelani. Mike, what do you think about Temple of Doom?
Look, man, Willie is probably the best character in the movie.
Man,
she's the one that shows the most growth. Like, she's like, ooh, money, jewels, fanciness. Like, she's out of her fish out of water. She's out of her element. And then by the end of the film, she's like, hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be like everything that she went through. And I mean,
she wouldn't do it again, though. She said she wouldn't do it again. I mean, of course, I wouldn't have done it to begin with.
Yeah, she said she wouldn't do it again, but you don't know that. She knows she's a stronger character coming out of the experience than she was before. Because it was just like, hey, she had to do things she was uncomfortable with. Like, she's like, ooh, the diamond in Club Obi-Wan. She's just like, ooh, like, that's so pretty. And then it's just like, wait a minute, there's a sense of danger. Like, I've never, like, her eyes got open to this whole different world of, like, everything.
Yeah, and Club Obi-Wan's not too on the nose, is it?
No, not at all.
So, but she's a good character. There's several redeeming qualities about her. It's just like she eats the food at the end. If you notice, like, she's not being picky. She understands. She sees.
She don't eat the eyeball soup though. She don't eat the eyeball soup.
That's at the beginning. That's the first meal. Or the third. That's the second meal, not the third.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, she hung over a huge thing of lava. So, and I love, like, she has some of the best one-liners. It's just like, why are we getting into a ship? We're not sinking, we're crashing. And then they fall out and everything else. Short Round, like, I can't see, like, Short Round's like, I love you, Indy, and then burns Indy. And he's like, you're my best friend, wake up. Like, how can you hate Short Round?
I don't. Not anymore. I've given him a pass.
This kid gets fucking whipped in the movie, by the way. This is how dark this fucking movie is. We're seeing this fucking adorable kid get fucking whipped.
And he is adorable. I thought he'd be annoying again, and he wasn't.
I love the scene when Indy's fighting the dude and Short Round's fighting the Maharaja, and it's just like they're punching each other, and it's just kind of like he's up on the cliff punching him, and everything's.
I too have heard the stories about our past and all the.
That's another great thing because Willie's
you
just
lying
like,
ass kid. You're complicit in this shit.
But like that's another fun bit too because Willie's like, ooh, the Maharaja, like I could hook up with the Maharaja, I'll be taken care of, and she's like, it's a kid. Like this, like what, like I know it seems very tropey today, but I don't remember anything kind of before that. So another,
and wildly racist, by the way.
Yeah. But this is the most iconic. Like this is probably the most iconic Indiana Jones scene. More than the boulder is him doing doing the cutting the bridge in half, because they do like that. If you go back and watch that scene with that where they pan in and he's got it up, like it's just like that's the most iconic scene. That's that like of all the new Indiana Jones figures that are coming out, like Temple of Doom Indy is the biggest. Is the one that's in the most demand because he's missing the sleeve. He's all rugged. Like he comes with the machete and the whip and a gun. It's the Indy that everybody. That's the one that everybody likes. Like he's more actionable than Lost Ark Indy. So, and then as a kid, I loved the minecart scene because you're like, I just want to go on that roller coaster. Like I know
that's where it really goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
But
it?
I thought that was great. But then again, like it's funny too because everybody complains about like some of the way later movies will get to it. If it comes up, I'll bring it up. But like some of the shot selections and the way the special effects done, I have some issues with. But I wasn't looking for it. It's just something that I like in time. Like when I was a kid, and a teenager, and in my 20s, I never really noticed it, or I kind of picked up on it. But now that I'm in my 40s and I know a lot more about cinematography and everything, there's some things that I have flaws with. And I found a flaw in Last Crusade when I was watching it today that I've never seen before for the first time. So this movie, I will have to give. They're fun, man. So like 4 or 5.
Big dumb fine.
4.5 from Mike. All right.
Gigantic moronic splendor.
You can get your t-shirts right now at TeePublic. Link in the description below. Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. It's a nice way to put it. Brooks, what about you? What about Temple of Doom?
Well, I used to like Temple of Doom when I was a kid the most. Like it was my favorite because it was the first one I remember seeing, and like it has a lot of the scenes that I remember. You know, the heart pulling out scene, the minecart scene, the short round car chase scene, and it's still a fun movie. I really still do like it, but this time like Willie did bring it down a bit for me. Like I don't know. Willie is I kind of get her, and like sometimes she can be funny, sometimes, but like she's in this movie way too much, and like she has no real reason for being here. Like Indy should have like dumped her ass like as soon as he could. Like I mean, not to be mean or anything, but he's putting her in danger for no good reason. Like she has no utility in this adventure. Like the only reason she's even a little bit helpful is just like coincidentally. But as far as the rest of it goes, like it is still a fun movie. Like I really like it. Does have the weird kind of like mystical East, old timey thing that they used to do a lot back in the day. Like the savage natives and their strange ways and their exotic foods. They chilled monkey brains. Isn't that crazy? But it's still a lot of fun, and I'd say it's definitely above it. I'd give it 3.5.
All right, 3.5 from Brooks. Y'all know me. I love this movie. I love how dark it is. I love the twisted nature of it at times. I fucking love Short Round. Willie did get on my nerves a little bit this time, but like, still, there's so many iconic moments for me. And when we rate these films, we're not trying to be super critical. I mean, we can if that's how we want to approach it, but we're also just talking about our personal experience and enjoyment. So for me, I will go 4.5. I'll agree with Mike, and I will put it up on the same rating that I gave Raiders of the Lost Ark. So a 4.5 from me and Mike, a 3.5 from Brooks, a 2.5 from Manny, and a 2 from Jelani for a PCP average 3.469.
Most inconsistently scored one, probably.
Yeah, probably. And we'll see what happens, though. I bet it's going to get crazier when we get to the last 2 films we talk about tonight. But we'll see what happens. Because now we're going to 1989, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. If you didn't believe that Indiana Jones was the successor to a James Bond type thing. Let's make James Bond his actual literal father. Sean Connery. What a fucking great addition to this franchise. I fucking love The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade to me is, I get what people say about Temple of Doom and Crystal Skull, right? But Last Crusade was able to kind of take the comedy from Temple of Doom and the adventure from Raiders of the Lost Ark and kind of blend it together in what I think is the fucking near perfect Indiana Jones movie. And then you throw in, out of all of the movies, and it could be argued that the new one has some nuance to it, but this one actually has a legit story to tell about a father and a son, right? And the arc of Indy and Henry in this movie is fucking phenomenal. I love Sean Connery's performance. Acting against type. He's acting like helpless, like a buffoon. He doesn't
He's a
do
scholar.
that. Yeah, and a
He
scholar.
doesn't do this. Yeah.
He doesn't do this. This was against type for him. It's actually really good. They get back to the Nazis. They have their fun bits. My favorite bit in this movie, it's one of my favorite bits in all the movies, is no ticket. Like, everybody gives him this fucking ticket.
Yeah.
Here you go. Take my ticket, please. But I like it. It has a nice sense of fun, great dialogue, and that story about Indy and his father. That is the heart of not just this movie, but the entire franchise for me, man. I really, really love Last Crusade. And as much as I love Temple of Doom, I think Last Crusade might be the best film in the entire franchise. I fucking love it. Sean Connery's great. Bringing Zala back, Jonathan Rhys Davies, absolutely fantastic. Inspired. I love the, don't trust her, she's a Nazi. How do you know? She talks in her sleep. You know, and like I'm like any other. I'm just as what does he say? I have needs just like the next man. I was the next man. Anyway, I fucking love the film. I think it's great. I love the quest. I love the Holy Grail lore. I love the way they play it in. Everything, the bits at the end when he's having like the breath of God and the leap of faith and all that shit. Like, yeah, it's fucking engraved into my brain. I fucking love The Last Crusade. Manny, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. What do you think? What do you rate it?
This was really fucking good. This was really good. And like I was getting flashbacks to Solo. Like, everyone was talking about how in Solo they're like, we don't need to see how Han Solo gets his dice or his blaster. Damn it, we don't need to waste all that time. They do the same thing in here. They're like, why does he like whips? Right here. Why does he wear a hat? Right here. Why does he hate snakes? Right here. Like, they covered all that basis right away, and it didn't bother me. I liked it, and I'm glad that people like this film, because then I feel justified in liking Solo as much as I do. That being said, Last Crusade it's similar to like the first time I ever went to a Mongolian like barbecue, where like the first time I went, I made a dish and I was like, this is pretty fucking good. And I went up and I got another bowl and I filled it with stuff, but I didn't put enough ladles of sauce. And I got it and I was like, this one was disappointing. But the third at bat, I took everything that worked in the first two and I just made it better. I took Willie and I gender swapped him and made him Sean Connery, and it worked better that way. The plot's the same. Indiana has to save a professor that's been kidnapped. It's the same as Raiders. In fact, they're even using Judeo-Christian lore in this one, same as Raiders. Like, they took what worked and they made it work really, really well. This one has, I think, the most heart, the most emotional, chewy nougat center of any of them, because I think that there's an innate want to, you know, be loved and accepted and respected by your patriarchal like father type figures. So I think that that's instantly relatable, just like how Short Round is the entry point in Temple of Doom. The father relationship is the entry point here. So that being said, this is another phenomenal Indiana Jones film, and this one I'm giving a 4.5.
All right, 4.5 for The Last Crusade. All right, I can dig that one. And Manny, you're not alone. I like Solo as well.
Thank you.
I like
I
Solo.
really do.
Thank you so
I like Solo, but you're right. We don't need to know where he got the fucking hat, like from some random fucking dude back in the day. We don't need any of this, but it's nice to see River Phoenix as young Indiana Jones, better than who was it? Sean
Patrick Flannery.
Patrick Flannery
yeah.
from Young
Powder.
Indiana Jones.
Powder is Indiana
Just
Jones.
Powder.
Yeah,
Yep.
why not? All right, Jelani, what about you, man? Last Crusade. What do you think? What do you rate it?
Man, I love this movie. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is my jam. This is it. This is the film that like I watched in the theater as a kid. This was a huge film back in the day. Everybody would not stop talking about this, and I was like, okay. I mean, I watched it with my dad. We bonded. It was such a great film. It's the father son dynamic. It's got action. It's got Nazis. It's got that awesome fight scene on the tank. I mean, you get pretty much everything you want in an action film, like from this movie. Like Sean Connery using his umbrella to scare birds to fly into a plane to shut it down. And he is playing against type, but he's more useful than Willie was in Temple of Doom. So I don't know where that comparison comes from. He's not useless. He's the one that wrote the diary to help them get to the Grail. Willie is just there anyway.
Do you think he's stupid enough to bring the diary all the way here?
Oh,
And he does it, and he's like Junior, and he's just Sean Connery. Sean Connery is an absolute treasure, and this movie proves that. I mean, everything about this film is so top tier. I love it. I love the matte paintings in this too. I love how they're like in the chase with the plane, and the plane like flies through the thing, through the tunnel, and flies past them. I love that scene. I bust up laughing every time I see it because like the Nazis just looking at him, and they're looking at him as he flies by. Ah, shit, man! It's such a powerful film.
What about the bit when Sean Connery's like, "What happens at 11 o'clock?" And he winds up shooting
he shoots the plane,
and he's like, "I'm sorry to tell you, they got us." It's great. Elsa's a great character. She's clearly a Nazi. I'm like, yeah, I forgot. Like Elsa Schneider. 1930s. Is she a Nazi? Could she be a Nazi? That would be the first thing I
every German sounding person name doesn't necessarily mean they're a Nazi.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that
in an Indiana Jones film. It does.
But yeah, she's kind of a Nazi.
She talks in her sleep.
She talks in her sleep.
But yeah, I loved her. The villain was kind of dumb. I can't stand him. I can't believe he just drank from a cup that she just gives him. I'm like, really, dog? Really? This is not truly the cup of kings. I'm like, man,
the cup of the king of kings.
King of kings. You
Like,
need to
motherfucker, you didn't
around,
look at
dog.
any of them.
You didn't look at any of them. You just picked the first one she picked. I'm like,
He chose poorly.
She did that on purpose. You could tell because the second she gave the cup, she looked at him and smiled. But then she got her comeuppance because he started like falling apart in front of her. I mean, it's great. I love this film. I love the blades, the kneel when you kneel, and how you spell God and the trials. I loved all of that. It's such a great film. The special effects are decent and practical. You don't really have too much craziness in it. It's the perfect of the group. This is my favorite. This is absolutely my favorite. I think you can. I'm gonna give this this is gonna get a 5.69, dudes.
Oh shit!
Sure
all right.
5.69.
Oh, now to be fair, Elsa, Miss Christine, is not Willie. Elsa is Bellic. Sean Connery is a mixture of Marion and Willie.
Willie.
So if you
He's
combine
like a
those,
standoffish, but he's useful.
Yes,
I understand you. I get it. Willie is trash. Anyway,
all right, Mike. Last Crusade. Tell us what you think.
When Donovan, is it Donovan? No, yeah, Walter Donovan tells Andy, like, hey, don't trust anybody, but you can stay in my apartment in Vienna. Like, that's a big tip off right there. Like, that dude's a nut. Like, something's up with that dude.
He
and then you
talks in
meet
his
Elsa
sleep.
Snyder, and then it's just like you get this, it's kind of like, hey, I'm walking into a trap, but I don't care. Maybe he knew, maybe he realized it, just didn't think about it. I really like this movie. It's the first one that I saw in the theater, and it's probably one of the first VHSs I've ever bought when I was a kid. So it's straight from 1989 right there. It's a fun movie. It's been a staple in rotation. It's always one of those that I'll always watch. I think I've watched it more than I've watched Raiders or Temple of Doom. So this movie's it's great. I love seeing River Phoenix in the beginning. I like the origin. I like to see him get the mark on his face from the whip. I do like the hats. I do like he's got the hat. It's kind of like, hey man, like good luck next time, and it's kind of a torch pass from Fedora to Indy, in kind of a way. And then the only thing that gets me is that next scene, he's on the boat. Like, where is the boat? What ocean is it in? Does anybody know?
Mm-mm. They're just in the ocean.
Because he's like, who picks him up? Because like you're in the middle of the ocean and you're jumping off this perfectly good boat for an artifact. Like, ugh. But yeah, I mean, this movie was fun. I thought it was fun because we got to see more of Marcus Brody in this than we did.
They really buffoon him up though. Because like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're all like, this dude knows like 80 billion fucking languages. He's a fucking scholar. And then this one, he's like, does anybody know Latin? Where am I?
Does anybody know ancient Greek or English? Anybody? Latin?
It's true. The pen is mightier than the sword.
And it's just fun. It's just funny to watch him. I like the him and Henry's little interaction on the tank. It's just kind of fun to see like just two best friends that hadn't seen each other in a while, like react to each other. I thought that was fun. One of my favorite lines when you're talking about this doesn't happen to Sean Connery's or character all the time, is when they're getting chased by the plane and they jump over the fence or they jump down the wall, and he's like, Junior, they're trying to kill us. He's like, Dad, I know, it happens to me all the time. So it was fun. The Delaney had mentioned, or somebody mentioned the birds, the seagull scene. I don't know if anybody ever went to the beach after that, but every time I remember seeing so many people just running down the beach, yelling at seagulls and stuff, doing the same.
They got their umbrellas out there and shit.
Well, they would imitate that scene in some way, and I thought it was just funny. And like, that's the power of movies, is that there's still like people that do that to this day, where they just see a flock of seagulls on the beach and they just go run and chase them and making a loud noise because it reminds them of that scene from the movie. So I think it's great. So much to say, and man, it's just. Oof, I give it a 5. It's another perfect one for me. It's a nice blend of comedy and humor. And like what Robbie said is probably going to change my thoughts and opinions on something where we're not giving it a critical. We're giving it what we think, so when it's like my love for this franchise doesn't make me as much of a critic, because if I was, then, I would have to really trash all these movies for some of their shot selections, and I would have to just go a little harsher than I really want to. But for the love of it, I'm going 5. So
perfect score for The Last Crusade from Mike. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
I like The Last Crusade. I think I like The Last Crusade probably the most out of all of the movies, and it's another one that I remembered from as a kid. I remember the Grail stuff. I remember the night. He chose poorly. You chose wisely.
This dude's been waiting fucking 2,000 years to say this shit, man. He's just been holding on to that bit. He chose poorly.
Yeah, I love the line. It belongs in a museum.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, Sean Connery's great in it. It is an Indiana Jones movie. I think it does the Indiana Jones formula the best out of all the movies. It's very it's well paced. It's it's got everything you need. It's got the action, it's got the humor. And I wouldn't say it's a perfect action movie. So I give it a 4.5, but a very strong 4.5.
Very strong 4.5 from Brooks. And for me, I'm going to give it a 4.69. I will declare that this is my favorite of the franchise. And as much as I have this nostalgic affinity for Temple of Doom, as much as I love Temple of Doom, as much as I will stand by Temple of Doom, Last Crusade is like something I feel like I could put on at any fucking time and just enjoy the hell out of that movie. It never slows down. It never gets boring. It's always adventurous. It's always action-packed. It's always fun, and it's always funny. And it drives all the way through to the end. So I'm going 4.69. So 4.69 from me, 4.5 from Brooks, 4.5 from you as well, Manny, right?
Mm-hmm.
A 5.69 from Jelani, and a 5 from Mike, giving it a PCP average of 4.9999969, dudes. So that's cool. All right. We're going to take a quick break. But when we get back from intermission, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. We'll be talking about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when we get back here on ActionFest 2023 PCP Movie Night. All right, everybody, welcome back to PCP Movie Night, ActionFest 2023, the Indiana Jones franchise review. We just reviewed Indiana Jones 1, 2, and 3, Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. High marks for 1 and 3. All over the place for Temple of Doom. Where do we go from here? Let's find out. 2008. 2008. This is almost 20 years later. We get another Indiana Jones movie. This has been in the works since the 90s. Originally, it was going to be Indiana Jones versus the Flying Saucers. They were developing this project, and then Independence Day came out, and a bunch of other movies came out, and they were like, yo, we can't really just do this route. Plus, Steven Spielberg didn't want to do the alien thing again, right? Because he was like, yo, I already did E.T., I did Close Encounters. Eventually would do War of the Worlds, right? Was War of the Worlds before?
That was
before.
2004?
Yeah, that was before, right? So he's already done aliens to death, right? So George Lucas comes back and he goes, no, I got an idea. They're not actually extraterrestrials. They're interdimensional. Well, y'all know me. If any of y'all have partaken of Teen Dog Shades nights, you know that's kind of my bag. All right, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. When this movie first came out, I staunchly defended it. I liked it. Y'all remember this, right? I really liked it. I was like,
we watched it together.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's a good movie. It's good. It's in the 50s. It's communist. It's more sci-fi. It's more about everything going on in the 50s. Well, I rewatched it. And after rewatching it, I will say this. If you take away like 5 or 6 incredibly fucking dumb decisions that were made in this fucking movie, Shia LaBeouf and the fucking monkeys, the fucking ants, the fucking nuke that I don't even mind. Yeah, lead lined refrigerator. Okay. But they throw this motherfucker like 50 miles across the desert and he's fine. Right. There's some really dumb shit in this movie. There's some really bad CG in this movie, but I still have a lot of fun with this movie. I still like it overall. It is not necessarily good. Right. But like, Joe Corrales says he'd argue that Crystal Skull was 2000 and late. Thank you, Fergie. I like the adventure of it. And, I like, we have the biblical artifacts. We got the Temple of Doom thing. I really like that they went to another hemisphere and they were exploring the crystal skulls, even though they got the crystal skulls way wrong. Like, it doesn't look like the actual crystal skull or whatever. But, I like it. I like the exploration of like the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Nazca lines and all this kind. I'm into that shit. I'm into that Western Hemisphere kind of like unexplained kind of mysteries and their temples and their pyramids and all this and the way it ties into all the extraterrestrial stuff, ancient aliens, ancient astronauts, chariots of the gods. I fucking eat all that shit up. I still love it today. I love and cherish and adore Cate Blanchett. Fucking love. Elizabeth is one of my favorite fucking movies, right? I fucking love her. I love her in this movie. There are a lot of things I like about this movie, but god damn it. Every bad decision they make is like the worst fucking decision for this franchise, man. And it's so frustrating. And here's the thing. It's not even Shia LaBeouf for me. I don't mind Mutt. I think Mutt's a fine addition to the franchise. I love the fucking, the fight that breaks out between the jocks and the greasers and shit. Like, fuck you, you greaser. Like, I love all that chaotic shit, right? But man, it's got some dumb decisions and it's got some really dumb, over-the-top action sequences that just really go way too far for me. So this movie's got a lot of problems. Man, I still kind of like it. And even at 60-something years old, Harrison Ford can still fucking get it. And he can still make it work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
He belongs in a museum.
He belongs in a museum. This is going to be some interesting. The ant shit is so fucking stupid though. Like, and the fucking, like, why in the hell have Shia LaBeouf get pulled up into these fucking trees just so he can swing around some monkey? That's the dumbest part. Like, it's not even the refrigerator nuke thing for me. It's the fucking monkey swinging part. It is so goddamn stupid. That being said, there are elements of this movie I like. I like seeing Marion back, right? I like seeing a lot of returning characters. I like the reference to Henry Jones Sr. having passed away, and Indy's kind of affected by it. But I don't know. I like it. And I remember Brooks was talking about, like, it doesn't seem like Indiana Jones cares much about being a teacher. You know, he's rather go off on these things. But the reason why he's so upset is because he's getting fired for some bullshit. Because I like how it's developing up this Red Scare shit, right? So I don't know. I kind of like it, and I also kind of fucking hate it. So I'm curious to see what you guys think as I think about where I'm going to settle with my rating. Manny, Crystal Skull, 2008 or 2008?
Jesus Christ.
Heck up, man.
No, you know what?
A Mike's Hard Lemonade.
No, this is a Moose Lake IPA, not bumper mango blonde. It's good. It's good.
How much are they paying you, Manny?
They are not paying me. I tried, Brooks. I made some reels. I was gonna pump them up on Threads this weekend. They weren't having me. I even tried to pump up some Wisconsin-based cereal, healthy keto cereal. And Wisconsin doesn't like me. I talk a lot of shit about them fucking sheep, though, like all the time on my live streams. So that being said, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's not horrible. It's not horrible. There are, like Robbie said, horrible elements to it. But even like the horrible elements, like my kids liked, like seeing Shia LaBeouf going through with all the monkeys. I mean, I was kind of a dick. They came home, they saw it on the screen. I was like, this is Transformers, Rise of the Beasts. Huh. They, you know, so, but that's
one more little thing that I just thought about that's really fucking stupid. The groundhog shit, bro.
Oh,
like,
God.
What the fuck, dude?
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Fucking Spielberg, take your own advice. This was... I like the idea of giving Indy a son. I wish that it would have been better executed. I don't know where they expected the mantle to go with Mutt. Shia LaBeouf's a hot property, so yes, tap him to be the next Indiana Jones. But at no point, regardless of how many times he's talking about listening to the ox, tell him stories about things, you never get the idea that Mutt gives a shit about any of this archaeology stuff. So it's a piss poor setup for the character.
And I think it was like almost a fake out too. Like they knew that people were thinking that Shia LaBeouf was like, it was a passing of the torch thing. And I think that's why they even do that bit at the end where he picks up the hat, he's about to put it on, and Indy's just like,
nah.
Oh, because it doesn't quite work. I would have rather have seen, you know, Short Round take up fucking Indy's mantle later in life. That would have been cool.
Bro, but if we could get fucking that dude to come back, because now he's an Academy Award winner, right? Like, bro, I would be down for a Short Round fucking movie, man.
He would have done.
He's not so short round.
The fact that Indy dumps him within a year of Temple of Doom would add like such an animosity there. He could have played Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character in Dial of Destiny without having to have these like random sudden change. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but
like you remember this best friend you had that we've never introduced before?
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, you literally had a best friend in Temple of Doom that would have easily been able to just call you a grave robber and been a dick to you the whole time, but at least still would have had the emotional center for the last act of the... Anyway, Crystal fucking Skull. This ties into my theory that there is an Indieverse, because in this he directly references the television show by saying he rode with Pancho Villa, because it's like, you know, 2-episode arc of the television show. So like that's directly referenced. Also, no eye patch for this elderly Harrison Ford, unlike in the television show. So I do think that Temple of Doom diverges, and we get the eye patch Indiana Jones, and in this one,
and no beard, because Harrison Ford came back and actually did a bit, and then had the beard.
He did.
Right?
Yeah, the probably the best episode of the show, because it's the most believable. You know, when Indiana Jones teams up with his college roommate Elliot Ness and Ernest Hemingway to take on the Chicago mob.
And he's a saxophone player, bro.
Yeah.
He is a saxophone. So very, very believable.
And on Total Recall show, Matt was like, I think he learned the brown note, and that's how he defeats him.
Oh shit. I'm with you, Robbie. I love the alien, the extra interdimensional being thing. I thought Ox was pretty annoying in this. At no point do I think he added anything. I actually felt bad that they brought out I think it was the War Doctor and had him act like an
John
idiot.
Hurt.
The
Yeah,
legendary
yeah.
John Hurt.
Yeah,
John
had him
Hurt.
act like an idiot
Aliens.
for 2 hours. You know,
3 times does
aliens.
it fall. 3
Yeah.
times does it
Two
fall.
times fall.
you know, but it hits all the indie notes. I think, like you said, there's just some really piss poor choices that, you know, hopefully James Mangold's gonna fix.
And we can't overlook, even though there's some really wonky CG shit in this movie, there's still a lot of good practical stunts in this film that Harrison Ford was doing himself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The bike when he's dragging, when he jumps over to Mutt Williams or Mutt, what is he? Mutt John? Yeah, I
guess he's Mutt Jones, brother.
Mutt Jones. He jumps over to the other side and his feet are dragging. That's actually him. And I'm like, wow, because you can't CG that.
No, dude, they do
really good.
They do again the practicals. It has everything it needs. It just has extra shit it doesn't. It's fuck it. I was gonna make a Game Boy analogy. You know, you get the camera and all the other add-ons, but that's fucking dumb and it doesn't land. So just know there was an analogy coming. I censored myself for the length of the show. That being said, this one I didn't read subpar Green Lantern stories during it, so I got to go with the 3. I got to go with the 3.
You give it a higher rating than fucking Temple of Doom? Fuck you, Manny. Jesus.
It still hits
the Game Boy camera of Indiana Jones movie.
Well, the Game Boy camera is better than we realize, y'all, and we need to bring it back. All right, fuck. A 3. All right. I mean, I think a 3 is a fair score for it, brother, but like, Jesus Christ, dude. Higher than Temple of Doom? You're blowing my mind. All right. I don't even think Jelani thinks this movie's better than Temple of Doom. We'll see. Jelani, what do you think about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
It's a movie by committee. It's a very committee movie. And I heard this got rewritten like 3 or 4 times, like 4 different hands are in it. And George Lucas had his say on top of that, where he wanted it to be an alien interdimensional being thing. But Spielberg was like, yeah, of course I don't want to do it. But then he added that layer, and then he added like they added Mutt eventually as the scripts kept going. So
yeah, originally it was supposed to be a daughter.
It's supposed to be a daughter that he teaches, which would have been cool too. I wouldn't mind that either, especially in 2008, because we haven't gone crazy yet. It's a fun movie, and Robbie, you and I watched this movie with some other people, and I went to the bathroom on the nuke the fridge scene, so I missed it. I missed like the part. The only time I got there was like when the fridge had already landed.
You came in and we were like, you just missed the dumb shit.
Some dumb shit. So I've only watched this movie once since that last time, because I was just like, for years I was like, fuck this movie, this is a waste of time. It's a CGI disaster. Like the flying when Mutt's flying in the trees is dumb as shit. I like the Crystal Skull. I liked when they put the head on the body and it would click.
I love that whole ending, dude. When the fucking everything starts spinning. Yeah, dude.
It's all awesome. That's okay.
That's the best CG in the movie, is at the end when you see the whole fucking and it disappears and all the rocks just fucking fall. Like that's cool.
That's clean. And like the worst scene is the jungle scene. The jungle scene with the jungle chase, all of that, you could have cut that out the movie. I'd have been okay.
It is so fucking stupid that he just gets up there and he's like, "What do I do?"
Trees,
all these monkeys are swinging,
and they're looking at me.
I'm surprised they didn't put the Tarzan fucking YOLO in there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you could put the Phil Collins song in there.
Yeah,
you'll be in my heart.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag of a movie. The CG is crap, but Indy is still Indy in this movie. He probably is the most indie in this movie than he's ever been, to be honest. Like, if you're going to judge Harrison Ford, this is Harrison Ford Grizzle, Colonel Jones. They call him Colonel Jones. He's been through the 50s. He's a war hero. That man has so many medals, and he's decorated. They say that when they're like cleaning them after nuking the fridge. It's the cleanest indie in the worst possible situation he could be in, other than finding out he has a son. That's awesome. I think that's a great addition. I think Mutt.
There's a really great comedic bit there too when he's like telling him like, "Hey man, school's not for everybody. Don't worry about it." But as soon as he finds out he's his son, he's like, "Why aren't you school?" And Frank, thank you so much for the super chat. We never get super chats for PCP movie night, so thank you so much, and thank you for telling me you agree with me. I like that.
Yeah,
that's nice. I'm sorry, Jelani. Go ahead.
No, that's great. Man, it's such they had an idea. And then they asked others what they thought about it. That's what this movie is. What is this? What is this? So it wouldn't have been a bad story. It's got great characters in it. I like Ox for some points. Some points he is useless, but for some things I like John Hurt. He's just a great actor, and I felt like he was underused in this film because they didn't really know. I don't think they knew what to do with him other than make him a blithering idiot after he sees the skull. Kate Blanchett is awesome. She's like, I don't know what it is, but she's a pitch perfect villain. Like she's got psychic powers, or she thinks she does. It's not really that great. She's just fooling around with that Rasputin kind of situation. And what she said with Lennon and all these things, her character is, I think, is well put together.
And if they ever try to do another Rocky and Bullwinkle live action movie,
Natasha,
look no further.
Exactly.
All right,
Natasha. And Kate Blanchett's awesome in general. So, I mean, you have your things. It's not the best. It's not. It's really not. But like, it's the most Andy you get. I really like Andy in this movie. I like when he's like, "Oh, I thought you were a teacher, part-time." When he says that, and I saw that in the trailer. That's what sold me to go watch it. I was like, I gotta watch this because he is a part-time teacher, and it's just. He doesn't land anything flat to me. He doesn't. He's settled. He's settled into knowing that he's getting on in age, but he's still a badass. He's still like, I got this. I'm under control with this. The 4 people he has with him survive. It's kind of when you're with Andy, you're okay. And that's what this movie kind of does.
Even if you fall down 3 fucking waterfalls in a fucking car that's magically a boat, and
it gets run over, and it gets run over the top of them.
If you watch that scene too, on the last waterfall, they all fall out at the top of that long ass waterfall. I'm like, y'all are dead.
You're dead. You're dead.
But it's one of those things with movie magic. If it's water, everybody will be fine.
Yep. So I mean, I give this movie shit, but I just watched it yesterday. Like I was with Brooks after we watched Dial of Destiny, and we were talking about the movies and stuff. And I kind of thought about it because I was like, Crystal Skull, and not to spoil anything, but I don't think we're all fans of Crystal Skull, but it is what it is. And discussing it with Brooks kind of put it in perspective. And then after I saw Dial of Destiny, I started to watch this movie, and I began to appreciate it a little more. So I'm going to give it a 3-2.
All right.
I'm going to give it a 3.
Bro, I'm actually proud of you, Jelani.
That's not trash. It's not complete trash.
Hey, did you know that Kathleen Kennedy was a producer on this film? Did you know that?
Yeah. Did I know she was a Kathleen Kennedy other times before? Yeah, sure. Then she took over everything. And
All right. 3. That's awesome. All right, Mike. It's time for you to apologize for this film. Tell us what you think, man. What about this film? What's going on?
I watched it today. You sent me the thing about, we had that conversation today about I didn't think I was gonna be on the show, but then I was on the show, so I was like, shit, I gotta watch this movie. So I watched Kingdom of the Crystal Seal of Gold today. I probably hadn't seen it in about 10 years. I remember watching it in the theater once, and then watching it on Blu-ray DVD after that, and then just being I don't particularly care for it. But watching it today, yeah, there's a lot that I'm forgiving of. I'm forgiving of the movie for a lot of things. Because if you want to trash the CGI, I know the CGI but it's Spielberg and Lucas, and it has that
It's
episode
just
1, 2, and 3 feel.
exactly, man.
To
That's
me.
the problem, man.
So
Like
it's just like, I
it
know
feels
it
like it's
can-
on a it's on a
Agreed.
green screen, man.
I
Like
agree.
the whole goddamn movie almost.
And it's just
I
like
agree.
George Lucas is involved. There's going to be a green screen. Like, it is what it is. And like going back to Last Crusade, there's a whole scene where Sala, Indy, and Henry are in a car driving, and the only person in focus is Indiana Jones, and Sala is driving. He's out of focus. It's only when his arm comes up that he gets back into focus, and then Henry's just a moving blur, and it's out of focus, and it's just like, all right, come on. And then you can rip the CGI apart in this movie, but then again, it's like, okay, well, let's go back and like, I know a lot of that stuff was groundbreaking back in the day, but it doesn't really hold. It doesn't hold up. I mean, perfect example is the boat crash in Last Crusade. Like the one it gets. So I forgive the CGI.
The problem is when it comes to special effects, big movies like this always overreach.
Right.
You know, we still see it today where they're just not there yet. Yeah.
I think they're going a little bit too big, and I think like some of the smaller movies where there's not a sense of like there's a sense of urgency to get this film out. Like that's why we have to rush everything versus like the Pacific Rim where there was no rush. We have time to work on the special effects. And like it's amazing, and it's from the same time period. It's the same time period. So I mean, it is what it is on special effects. So I'll give that the nuclear blast and the refrigerator. Like I'm more forgiving of that than he should be like his brain should be jello because it's lead line, but it's not
He's not cushioned.
It's not cushioned. So like he shouldn't have been.
That goddamn thing is like bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that
that
the Nazis, like here's the thing of how fast it's going. The Nazis are driving, and they already had a head start on this thing.
Communists.
Oh,
they were
communists.
dirty red commies.
And you see the
Filthy
refrigerator
reds.
go overhead.
Yeah.
And you're like, that thing is like, if that thing is like, they're miles past,
Yeah.
miles
No,
away. And
no,
that thing
it is a great
It
is a great bit though when he goes to that town and he's like thinking he's like safe, and then he like realizes like, oh shit. One thing I fucking noticed though, the first thing he does is turn on the faucet, try to get some water, and there's no water. But then he goes outside and there's like sprinklers
Water
going off
everywhere.
and shit.
Hoses.
Yeah. It's just it's like we know that Lucas kind of got kiddified during the prequel area. Like this feels kiddified a little bit, like the groundhogs, and like there are things that work, but there are things that are just like, and like you said, they try to go too big maybe.
The prairie dogs, those were nothing compared to the monkey scene. The monkey scene is just like cool. If you had like the one little monkey from Community that was just like Annie's boobs, that's the monkey.
Yeah, Annie's boobs.
Annie's boobs is just like,
Right.
hey man, like come follow me and we'll swing on this vine.
He should have
like,
ran
all
into
the
Short
monkeys.
Round, and Short Round's just like, grab a vine, homie, and just like
Yeah.
swung with
I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. Did we talk about the legs? Did we talk about Shia LaBeouf's legs between the two cars when he's driving? Like when they're
Oh, that's
driving
so
and like his,
stupid too.
he's like,
He's Van Damming it.
"Oh,
He's trying to be like Van Damme.
I hate that. And he keeps hitting
Oh.
his nuts and he's holding his nuts. I hate that shit.
They
That's
set up
awful.
the whole fencing thing,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
they set up the whole thing with fencing.
This
Like-
isn't a match, Mom.
They should have had the fencing.
It's so
at the
stupid.
temple.
And
It's just
that's some of the worst
prices here.
CG. When they're
Yeah,
like
it is.
fencing, him and Kate Blanchett are
The
fencing on it
whole
like so
jungle.
bad.
The whole jungle sequence where they're getting chased, that it's cut out of the movie.
Now
From
it is
from there to the ants.
now
Cut it from the movie.
it is funny though that when Shia LaBeouf lands in the vehicle in the duck boat, and all the monkeys just start attacking the Russians. That's hilarious. That's hilarious because it's just kind of like, hey, we friends now. Like they bonded
Well,
by swinging.
You guys got to
Mochi from
understand.
Captain Planet. You got the heart ring.
You got to
Yeah.
understand how much hatred that Lucasfilm got after Raiders of the Lost Ark, where that monkey snitched out Marion. And,
Yeah.
and this was their chance to make it right.
They're like, we feel really bad we killed that monkey. So
Yeah.
like here we go. But
Yeah,
monkeys are anti-commie as well, man. So that's fine.
I'm sorry. One more thing. I forgot one more thing to mention. All right. This is Willie. This is Mac. Fuck Mac. Fuck Mac. I'm sorry, Mike. I forgot that part.
No,
fuck,
I mean,
fuck Mac.
Mac.
Fuck Mac. That piece of shit. Fuck him. That two-faced asshole. Fuck him.
The British guy, right? Yeah.
Remember that time we were in Berlin?
He's a triple agent.
He fucking fools him twice in this fucking movie.
Kill him.
And
I'd have killed him
because
first.
he wants the riches. That's all he's there for. He doesn't care.
The second we would have had that shit. It passed my mind. Brooks and I talk about this often. It just fuck Mac, man. I'm sorry.
Mac is in this because the DVD box sets of Young Indiana Jones Chronicles were all reprinted and re-released in 2008. So that's why you have that whole exposition of him being in the military and being a colonel and being a spy. The Pancho Villa shit, that's all in there to get people interested in buying these DVD sets.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
it's all marketing. I mean, it's the same thing. Like they did, like Hasbro's got a new toy line out for a new Indiana Jones movie. So I mean, it goes with the territory. So I mean, this movie, I mean, it's not bad. Like there's some part, like I told Robbie this earlier. Like the it falls 3 times. That's my biggest issue. Like I have seen Niagara Falls, and people do not survive. Like what? Like 1 out of 12 people survive that, and you got 5 people falling off a waterfall. There's rocks at the bottom of that thing. Like, there's no way they survived. That little first one, maybe, but this 2, 3, there's no way they survived that. So, like, I like that. That's just more
and stay upward, stay like afloat.
Yeah,
like no, son.
It's more unbelievable than that. They would have been like they would have gone over in the first one. The second one, they would have been all out of the car and just trying to survive, and then fall for the third one. So, but like it's an Indiana Jones movie, and it's fun. Like it's still popcorn action adventure. I have seen worse movies. So I mean, it's not that bad. And I do like the end. I do like. At first, I was like, aliens, this sucks. Like, alien. Like, no, I thought the whole alien thing was cool now. So I'm down with that. I like the spaceship at the end. It's one of those cool things. It's like, this is how lakes are formed, because an alien ship will take off that's been buried. And that's how, like, all the big major lakes, that's what's happened. It's been a spaceship that's landed and took off. I was like, oh, cool. Lakes, fun. So, but just stupid shit like that. The villains I liked. I liked seeing Karen Allen come back as Marion. Like, it's always nice. It's a nice, strong female lead. They did the Scorpion reference, which was cool, and then they did the one snake reference. So, got to keep that going in all the films. And then, that's about it. I'm really forgiving of this film, and it's just big dumb or giant moronic splendor. So I'm gonna give it a 4. I was originally gonna give it a 3.5, but then I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was just like, nah, it's 4.
A 4 for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull from Mike. All right, Brooks, let's balance this out, man. What do you think?
It's all right. This is I think out of all the movies, this is probably the weakest one. It's still got some good stuff in it. It's pretty fun. It's an Indiana Jones movie, but it does kind of feel like Delaney was saying, it feels like a movie done by committee in a way. It's like, we got a popular franchise, so it's got to have certain things in it, and but we've got to mix it up too. Like, now Indy's got to have a son, and let's bring back Marion, which I think is good. I'm glad they brought Marion back, but it just doesn't. it's not as like it's still fun in its own way, but it's not as fun as like the first three. And like I get why people don't like it because whenever you try and change like things about a franchise like this, you'll get mixed results. But overall, it's a very mid movie, I think. And as far as the CG goes, like it isn't very good CG, but when it comes to like them using CG instead of animals, I will never complain about that because I'm 100% in support of like them phasing out animals in movies altogether because I just think it's not a good idea. But so yeah, I'd give Crystal Skull a 3. It's a solid movie, not great, but not terrible.
All right, what do you think about the scene when Shia LaBeouf is swinging through the vines with the monkeys?
It's dumb. Like it's dumb, but like it's Indiana Jones though. Like whenever something stupid happens in Indiana Jones movie, I have to just be like, well, it's Indiana Jones,
Okay.
Like they fall off a waterfall and survive. It's Indiana Jones. He survives in a lead-lined refrigerator from a nuclear blast. Indiana Jones.
I mean,
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf swinging through trees with monkeys. Indiana Jones.
But it's like plane crashes into a mountain and you jump off in an inflatable boat.
Yeah, you jump in your inflatable raft. Indiana Jones.
That's Temple. That's Temple, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how to fly a plane?
No. So many unrealistic things that can happen.
That's true.
So,
for me, I will agree with most of the panel, and I'll give it a 3. As much as it's got some issues, it's got some problems. That's actually a downgrade from the rating I would have given it when I first watched it. But I still don't mind the movie, and I think it was Jelani that said Harrison's still indie, and it's some of the most indie he is. Like his character is solid throughout all of these films, I think, actually. And I love having Marion come back. I actually like Shia LaBeouf as Mutt. I really wish we would have got some Mutt action in Dial of Destiny, to be honest with you, man. I kind of hate the way they wrote off the character, but I'll give it a 3 because I do enjoy it and I will watch it again. And I really, for all the dumb shit in the movie, I really love the shit about the crystal skulls and the fucking ancient, Central American fucking mythology and the aliens, the ultra terrestrials and all that. Like, I really eat all that shit up. So that's really, really cool. By the way, Dan Aykroyd, who is a big proponent of the crystal skull stuff, right? He makes crystal skull vodka. Mm-hmm. He had a cameo in Temple of Doom. I don't know if you guys caught that, but he's like the dude who he's like when they're like getting on a plane. I think when they're getting on the plane to go to India or whatever, he's the guy. You never see his face, but he's the guy like giving them their bags and shit like that. And then I think Tom Scioli or somebody on Total Recall show, they got some really great content about Indiana Jones. They were like, he probably refused to do a cameo in this one because they fucked around with the crystal skull mythology. You know what I'm saying? But a 3 from everybody on the panel, but from Mike, who gave it a 4. So that is a PCP average of a 3.0123. 94768.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way it works out, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't fudge the math.
Yeah, that's right.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny just came out, what, a week, 2 ago? Just came out. We're going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I already gave my thoughts on Rockin' Robbie Live last week. Did you pull out the liquor now, Manny?
Oh, shit.
He either pulled out some whiskey or that's like the Delta 8 fucking shit that he saved from Huntsville when he came down here.
It's just juicy juice.
It's just juicy juice. I like the film. I don't hate the film. I like it. But I'll tell you this. These first 4 movies that we've been talking about, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I don't think any of them have any kind of pacing issues. This one's got pacing issues. It's by far the longest. The second longest is Last Crusade.
By 9 minutes.
Well, this is like 2.5 hours long, right?
Yeah.
It is a fucking long movie.
9 minutes.
It has elements of it that are like paced well. And so it doesn't feel while you're watching it like it's a long experience. but scenes feel long. You know what I'm saying? Like the movie itself, like I was in and out, I felt. But when I'm in the moment, in the scenes, I'm like, this is going on a little bit too long. So I think it has pacing issues. Why? As great of a director as I think James Mangold is, he is not Steven Spielberg. And Steven Spielberg has perfected action, adventure, and blockbuster, right? He has perfected that shit. That's why he eventually goes off into just doing historical dramas and shit, right? Because he's like, I've nailed this. I don't have to keep doing this shit. Even in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I think the pacing is tight. This one gets a little bit more loose. Gets a little bit more just kind of wonky. But like I said, it's the first one not written and directed by the same people. You know what I'm saying? And all the Indiana Jones movies had different writers, but George Lucas was like the story guy, right? So this one, I like it. And everybody's, what's her name? She plays Helena in the film. Phoebe something,
Phoebe
whatever.
Waller-Bridge.
Yep.
She's in Solo. She's the robot in Solo.
She's the robot, yeah. I hear that I hear a lot of people say that she's just an asshole, she's unlikable, and plus we know all the bullshit that was on YouTube about the leaks of this movie and how woke it was going to be and all this fucking bullshit. None of that's in the fucking movie. But I've seen some people say her character's kind of unlikable and kind of an asshole. She is. Indiana Jones is kind of unlikable and an asshole. And
I was going to say, Indy's kind of an asshole.
So I actually kind of found her charming in the movie. The kid in this movie, short round, he ain't.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And he's only there for one fucking purpose, to fly the fucking plane. Right? But it leads to a really hilarious bit where that dude wakes up in the middle of fucking, he's in the fucking, like, he's like 2,000 years in the fucking past. He just wakes up in the back of his plane. He has no idea what the fuck is going. Here's the other thing. Mads Mikkelsen is basically playing Werner von Braun. This movie has given us a movie moment that 4 out of 5 of us here on the panel will treasure for the rest of our lives. But it's the moment where Mads Mikkelsen goes, I will not go back to Alabama.
That's true. That's true.
But what's crazy is I think Mads Mikkelsen and his henchmen, best henchman, by the way, in all of the films, is the dude. He's the villain in the new Justified season, which starts in like just a matter of days. Okay? The main henchman who was like super trigger happy, fucking loved him in this fucking movie, right?
He's
loved him.
Yeah.
And what I love so much is that these villains are truly threatening. When Mads is talking to that fucking dude, the black dude, and he's like, you didn't win World War II. Hitler lost it. And I'm like, they're about to kill this fucking dude, right? It's so threatening. And then it ends in like this farcical fucking romp where they show up in the past and they're just like all freaking the fuck out and the Romans are taking them down and shit like that. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And at the moment, I'm like, I don't know if I like this or not. But I do, actually, in hindsight. It's got some major pacing issues, though. It's way too fucking long. It's got characters that don't feel like they belong, like the little fucking kid. It's got really bad de-aging in the beginning. But you know what? It's some of the best de-aging I've seen in an action sequence that intense, right? However, we still going to have 80-year-old Harrison Ford's voice over the fucking young Indiana Jones phase. Like,
Brooks, did I not say that? Sorry.
That shit threw me out immediately, brother. Like, fuck. But that opening scene, take all that shit out. The opening scene is great. That's classic Indy. But I actually enjoyed the film. I thought it was fine. It's not pitch perfect. It's not as good as the first 3. I think it's comparable to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think it does certain things better and certain things not as well. So overall, it's kind of a mixed bag for me. But seeing all the fucking hate for this film online, that's ridiculous. Y'all are way too fucking sensitive, or you're just trying to goad your fucking audience into clicking on your video to get some ad revenue in. And that is bullshit. And we've been on YouTube for over 8 years and we know it. And we'll call it like we fucking see it. Manny, Dial of Destiny. What do you think overall? What do you rate it? Are you there, Manny?
He's doing a gift bit.
Are we doing a bit?
Yeah, it's a bit.
I don't know if it's a bit. All right, Jelani, let's move over to you. Dial of Destiny. What do you think, brother?
That's how he feels about Dial of Destiny.
He's trapped in time.
Yep.
I love how we all fuck with each other so much that we're like, he's fucking around with us, right?
Yeah.
Taking the piss.
Real quick, Miss Christine, you're right. I do love what this movie's telling us about the story of Indiana getting older. Like, that is a good core thread through that story. I really do like that. But it just kind of gets overwhelmed by some of the other stuff, I think. But I still think it's a good movie. I don't think any of these movies are bad. All right, Jelani. I'm curious because I don't know what Jelani thinks about this movie. So I'm excited.
Well, it's very mid. It's a mid movie. Like, it is too long. And the CG is unnecessary, like it was in Crystal Skull. Like, but to a larger degree. Like, you didn't have to have everything look like green screen because we saw the trailers, and the trailers looked bad, and they didn't have the CG right on Harrison Ford's face, like when he was on the horse during the ticker tape parade, which was also green screen. It just looked really sloppy. It looked sloppy. This had 4 writers, including James Mangold. So it's another movie by committee. It's more input. We want to put certain things in. They kept test screening audiences for the ending of this movie because this movie had a different ending, 6 different ways. And this is the one that people liked the most, and that wasn't very high. Because it's kind of tacked on at the end where Sala comes back and Marion's there and all those things, and he gets knocked out and wakes up. I actually like that part. I like when it's like he's sad sack Indy, but at the same time he lost Mutt. Like, Mutt died in Vietnam, and and his wife, he couldn't handle that, so he left his wife. Technically he left because she asked him at the end, "Are you back, Indy? Are you back?" So he's broken. This man is like completely broken. And he's had glory days, and they show you at the beginning that he's had a glory day where he finds, he doesn't find the spear of destiny, which is, another Christian kind of Judeo-Christian kind of thing. It's the spear that killed Christ, and you find out it's a fake, and it's this huge train thing where they find the dial at the Antikythera, I think they call it. It's such a it's a
It's
good
based on an
story.
actual device, like what's considered like the first computer or whatever,
Right.
yeah.
It calculates the fissures of time. Like, you can pass through a portal, but it doesn't do it. It calculates where it's going to be from where you look for it. Like, you want to look for a certain thing, you put the dial in, and the dial finds it, the fissure in time, or as I call the devil's butthole, and you fly into it. And that's basically what the dial is. As far as that story, I didn't mind it. It was too long, though. This could have, like I said, you could have cut actually like 45 minutes out of this movie. Their plot contrivances, the Nazis get to point A and point B, they basically teleport. It's kind of weird that they just show up. And they're just, hey, we're here now, even though we were just on a boat. We were just on a boat that got blown up by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and they're like sinking basically, and they still found a way to get there before Indy and them and Teddy. There was just too many leaps like that. Indy's a murderer, basically, because he comes back.
He's been a murderer, bro. Did you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes, I know.
He shot that dude.
He shot that dude. No. I'm talking about he's like wanted by the police as a murderer in New York City for the CIA agent and the Nazis killing his coworkers. So they never resolved that. That's just the biggest plot hole. I'm like, so he woke up in New York and not in jail, and he flew in a plane and not in jail. I had to think about this. It took a while. I was like, damn. They're big plot holes.
Yeah, but when you get to the end and they show up in the past and the Nazis have bitten off more than they can chew and they realize they're not in
they're
1930,
fucked. They're
if you
pretty much fucked.
if you sped that up by like 0.5%, or like if you sped it up 50 times and added the Benny Hill music, that shit would be hilarious, man.
Yeah, you're right. And it would actually I would have laughed harder. I didn't like the way they died, but at the same time, they got their comeuppance because they thought they were gonna go meet the Führer and kill him, but they couldn't meet the Führer and they freaking screwed up. I know I'm talking a lot about this film, but it's brand new and it's kind of fresh, but at the same time I wanted to get my thoughts on it. And
that just reminds me though. Do y'all remember in Last Crusade when Indiana Jones got Adolf Hitler's autograph? That was a really good
that was good. I love the music playing when he did it. And he thought he was caught. But Hitler doesn't know who Indiana Jones is. He doesn't care. So like it's an okay film. I don't think Helena Shaw is that annoying. She's not Willie. She's she is abrasive. She is very just there to one him up. But at the same time, the man is 80 years old and he's still like running around in go-karts, like in chases and stuff. I think that's great. I think
he rides a horse through a subway.
He rode a horse through a subway. He's Indiana Jones. You know what I'm saying? He's 80-year-old Indiana Jones, but he's Indiana Jones. So he's still that character. He's just broken. The man is broken because he lost his family. And you see it in him. And you see that weight. And the best acting he does in that movie is when he's like grizzled and sad. And he's talking about the wish that he would do if he used the dial properly. And he's like, I would tell Mutt not to go to Vietnam. It was the sweetest thing. Like it was human. It's very human. And you get that through Harrison Ford's performance. So it's still indie. We're still not watching the end and crumble. And I've seen some of these hate videos, and it's a lot of work. Y'all are looking way too hard. I mean, it didn't do well, but it's not like the end, the be all end all things. It's the end of a story. I'm glad they didn't. I don't think they ended it properly because technically that motherfucker got shot in the chest. He's dead, but he survives.
What about in the opening scene? We didn't even mention this. The opening scene, he catches a fucking bullet, bruh.
Dude, freaking Mads Mikkelsen eats a freaking thing and lives the rest of the way. But
dude does. He's on the train. He
gets hit.
That killed a dude in fucking like Temple of Doom or some shit.
That killed the guy in Speed. It took the guy's head off of Speed. He should be dead.
He's just totally fine when he shows back up.
You be on the side of a train.
I was convinced there's going to be some time travel shenanigans there, but it didn't.
He said in the movie, Brooks said in the movie, he thought Phoebe Waller-Bridge was like dead or like from the future, and that Mads Mikkelsen was from the future as well, or something like that. He'd be like some weird.
That would actually been fucking clever.
And I'm like, that'd be cool as shit. But they didn't use the time travel epic. I mean, they should have. That should have, but they didn't work time travel the best way. It was a fixed point in time. You can only use the dial to go see Archimedes and give Archimedes the dial. It was always supposed to be that. You can't go anywhere else. But
I like the use of their time travel, but the problem is at the end of it when Helena's like, you can't stay here because you'll fuck up history, you just know that's breaking the logic of your own time travel.
And there's a plane that crashed with Nazis.
But it's always happened. Is what I'm saying. Like it's always happened. Like that's why they see that's why the watch is there. On the corpse. That's why the fucking dragons and the phoenixes, the engraved the images have propellers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why that's all there is because, and this is the way it would actually work, y'all. Is like if time travel would really happen, like if you go back in the past, you won't be able to change shit because you already did that. Like the past is as real as the now and is also as real as the future, right? The problem is they break their own logic when they're like, we can't leave you in the past, you'll change things. What the fuck? Y'all just drove all these fucking. How many people died? Like you killed
that weren't supposed to die.
But they all. The thing is, they all were supposed to anyway.
Right. But it's.
I think Manny's just like doesn't want to talk about this movie.
Sounds
by
fair.
the way.
Sounds fair. I mean, I see. Like I was saying before, I see all the hate, and I agree. I think it's a little much because you're doing a lot and trashing things you don't really and as far as, and I guess I'll mention it now, the whole Kathleen Kennedy thing, like at this point I don't care. Like I already know
She's
that,
out,
like,
bro.
stuff,
She's out anyway, man.
yeah, I
Let
mean,
go, Wendy.
it's fine. She did screw up a lot of shit, but at the same time, like, I don't know if she was just trying in her own way. I'm not trying to defend it, but she spent too much money on this movie. She does things where she spends like she'll reshoot whole movies. Like that's what happened with Solo. You reshoot whole movies and you rewrite so many things. That's not. And she was like with Spielberg and Lucas when they like tried to do budgets for movies and try to figure out what it should be and what the pieces are. And of course, the pandemic was involved with this movie a lot. So a lot of things were changed during that too.
So what you're saying is she's the Vince McMahon of Disney.
Yeah, she's kind of Vince. She is Vince. Wow, that is wow. That,
well, this is a problem. This is a problem plaguing the studios right now, right? Like, look how much money they spent on Flash.
Yeah,
like one of the reasons, the reasons why Flash and Dial of Destiny are so well. The reason why Flash was a failure has a lot to do with just the track record of DC over the last 10 years, right? But it's like with Indy,
Batman v Superman, man.
If this movie didn't cost 350, 400 million to make, they would have had a really solid opening weekend.
Yeah.
They made 70 mil domestically or some shit. Like 60,
but they gotta
70,
make like
right?
a billion.
Exactly.
You gotta make a billion. You spent $300 million plus marketing.
It's crazy to think about it, but Raiders was a low budget fucking big movie. Raiders was a low budget big movie, man.
Insidious, they made like $70 million or something like that.
Oh shit!
They made all that money back. So I'm sorry, I haven't even given my rating. For Dial of Destiny, I'll give it. I'll give it a 3 too. I mean, it's mid. It's very mid, and it concludes the story. I get it. Like I've seen now that I've watched it myself, I get it, and it's just meh.
Okay,
you know, I'm okay with it. I can't take it or leave it. I may watch it again, and when I watch all the Indiana Jones movies again, because I will.
Yeah, I don't own these on Blu-ray because I'm just waiting for the set of the complete saga with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. That's what
that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
All right, Manny.
Boom.
At first, I thought you were just trying to avoid talking about this movie.
No, I legitimately had to restart everything.
All right, Dial of Destiny, brother. What do you think?
Well, I could hear what all was being said. There's really nothing to add to the conversation. I think the time travel element is clever. I like you said, fixed points in time. It's like St. Francis of Assisi with this, like, if you're on a voyage, where you were, where you are, and where you're going to go all still exist at any point in the voyage. I thought that, so, you know, I like that with time travel. It wasn't, there were so many other characters other than the random goddaughter that they could have used in this film. I would have loved to have seen Short Round just like everybody else on the internet. I don't think Helena's a terrible character, but Mutt exists, or at least he did until you randomly decided to kill him. And I know Shia's not the he's not the best face for any franchise right now, but recasting fucking exists. Let's stop pretending like the only person we can recast is Terrence Howard. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, you could have recasted him. Boyd Holbrook would have been a fucking fantastic new Mutt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But that's not what happened. And given what we got, it is what it is. No eye patch. This definitely falls into the Last Crusade timeline in the Indiana Jones theory. Yeah, so it's a 3. I mean, it's no more offensive than fucking Crystal Skull aside, you know, shitty de-aging aside. It's, I mean, fucking apples and apples in terms of bad CGI. Is there no way to like fix voices with AI?
Yeah.
You can't deep fake his voice. Like, why the fuck?
Yeah.
Why don't they do that? It
They
wasn't as bad
spent
as
$300 million on it. Yeah,
Oh.
they should have.
It's not as bad as De Niro in The Irishman, right? Like at least
I haven't seen
Indy
before I
kind
saw.
of still moves like a younger enough guy, but gosh, that voice is damn near unforgivable.
All right, so a 3 from Manny as well. All right, and I do agree, Big Llama, like a short round cameo or inclusion would have elevated this film, like 100%.
Replace Helena with Short Round. You can almost use the same fucking dialogue, and it's the same movie.
And a lot of people
Yeah.
have said that, and it's like it's
Yep.
true as fuck, man.
Yep.
It really is. But I guess
They
they didn't
fucked up.
realize that this dude was about to win an Academy Award, you know. But whatever. All right, Mike, what do you think, bruh? Dial of Destiny, destined to fail, destined to soar, destined to be mediocre. What do you think?
Because of my wonderful AMC movie pass, I went and saw this movie again because it cost me the same $20 that I spent to see it the first time.
How much is Movie Pass paying you, Mike?
Yeah. Chill.
Pushing a bit too hard.
Man, I'm just saying,
Overhard, someone
three
said.
movies for $20 or 3 movies for $60. It's a no-brainer. So, but I saw
I
this
ain't
one
going
again.
to the movie all the time.
So I saw the movie again, and I liked it more the second time I saw it. I'm more forgiving the second time I saw it. The first time, yeah, it did take the voice did take it out. Like it was, it's like, oh man, like this sucks. Like that kid on Facebook or the YouTube, the one that does the Harrison Ford impersonation, like they should have paid him. I don't know if y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name right now to save my life. But he does a great Harrison Ford impersonation. Or they could have got Harrison Ford's son, which sounds very similar to him, to do the younger part. But, you know, I don't know what they were thinking on that. One of my favorite things is the Spear of Destiny or the Lance of Longinus. That thing. I don't know if y'all read any of the Indiana Jones comics from the 90s, but that was one of the first ones that they did after Last Crusade. And so I thought that was a nice little throwback to like the diehards that were like, oh hey, like this was one of the comics that we did in the 90s. Like the two biggest ones in the 90s was the Spear and the Golden Fleece. And but everybody, I just remember the Spear of Destiny story was more popular. So seeing that in the train, that was a nice like, oh, I appreciate that. It's a nice throwback. The Mads Mikkelsen did a great job. Man, those villains were kind of likable, more likable than Helena. I did not like her at all. Like I always thought like her, like yeah, she is a certain way, but I didn't find that charming. It was more just like it was just that whole greed mentality. Like it just rubbed me the wrong way. And it's somebody that's just kind of like, hey, this is what we're doing it for. It's like, hey, I'm doing it for my own personal needs. And it's just the selfishness I just didn't particularly care for. But like at the end, she turned it around. And I appreciate, like at the very end when she did what she did, knocking him out and saving him, it was like, okay, this character does have some heart. And then I liked the kid. I thought he was fun. It was very it's a nice little throwback to Short Round, but I don't think he dominated the whole entire scene. Like I didn't think he dominated a lot of it. Yeah, he was there for flying the plane, but I mean that's about it. He was fun. For driving the cart, the little cart in the chase that they had. What else is there to say about this movie? The special effects, like I'm not really picky about, like I said, the whole de-aging thing. That's fine. It's better than what we've had. It's a lot better than Carrie Fisher at the end of Rogue One, so which everybody seems to love.
I do. Well, not the CG. No.
It's better than fucking Peter Cushing in Rogue One for sure.
He's unsettling. Yeah, he's very unsettling.
So I mean that technology is so Like, I mean, it's so advanced right now, and it's just interesting to watch. So, like, I'm really excited to see what happens with the growth of that. So, and then what else? I don't mind the history, the history thing. That was the other thing. Sorry, I like I like that it was set in a point in time. Like, no matter who found the dial at any point in time, they went back to help Archimedes. So I thought that was I was fine with that. I'm a lot happier. Like, my biggest fear was like that story that they like that was going along online. Like,
Yeah.
young Indy dies and old Indy disappears and Helena's stuck back in time and becomes the new Indiana Jones. I was like, that's garbage, but that didn't happen, so I'm happy. I like the end.
Me
I like
too.
the whole thing with Marion. I like that. I kind of wish she did show up a little bit more, but I understand with the story and everything because like they got a divorce, and one of the fun things too is because about that is that Indiana Jones and the Chronicles was in World War One, and that was the thing with his like he did the same thing. It's like, I want to go fight. I want to do my duty. I want to go serve. And Henry Sr. is like, no, don't. Like, war is terrible. You don't need to do that. Focus on school. And so Indy made all these mistakes with his father, and like he just wanted Mutt to do. He like him and Mutt apparently got into it. What the backstory is on this, and it was just like, no, it's kind of like the circle repeats itself, which reminds me of the Kingdom with Crystal Skull. They did a bit from Last Crusade that I thought was funny, and then so that's completely for another movie though. But yeah, I think it's fine. So I give it a 4.5. The pacing was. I never looked at people say they got a problem with pacing, but I never once looked at my phone and said, "What fucking time is it? I'm ready to go."
You shouldn't look at your phone in the movie theater, Mike.
So, well, I was gonna say I have my watch, but I don't wear a watch. I have a phone. Also, there was only like 3 people in the movie theater, so that's the joy.
I watched it in a packed theater. 4.5. Holy shit! Now I just want you guys to know, I was talking to Justin Goldsmith, who is a member of the Excitable PCP crew and also a big Indiana Jones fan, said he would give this movie a 5, and I laughed. I literally laughed. I was like, I thought he was making a joke. He wasn't. 4.5 for Mike. All right. What about you, Brooks? What did you think about the Dial of Destiny?
I liked it pretty well. It was pretty good. It's an Indiana Jones movie. I like how they're they're actually addressing that Indiana Jones is getting old, and it's time to maybe move on. I think that like the new character, the girl, I think she was pretty good. They seem to be kind of like they're making her a little more roguish. Like she reminds me of, there's a character in the Star Wars comics called Dr. Aphra, who's kind of like an Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe, but she's like a much more self-interested. She kind of reminds me, like it seems like they're kind of like trying to give her those kind of characteristics where, like, in the end, she is like an archaeologist who's like seeking artifacts and stuff, but like she's not just doing it like Indy did, for fun. She's also doing it for profit, which I think, that's legitimate.
You gotta make money. Except for Mac. Fuck Mac.
Yeah, I mean, like people put like a lot of importance on ancient artifacts, and they do have like a place, but like to me, artifacts are just like ancient trash, basically. It's like in 1,000 years, like the shit in my garbage can will be considered like some kind of like artifact, some precious artifact. But it was fun. And I didn't know there was any hype around this movie. I don't tend to like, pay attention to any hype or anti-hype around any movie these days, because, I think it can kind of taint your experience a little bit. But I mean, there was nothing really in this movie that I could see that would like, cause anybody to, to lose their shit per se. It's an Indiana Jones movie. Like it's a lot like the Crystal Skull in that way. Like, it's just, a natural continuation of the Indiana Jones story. And, it's not I mean, you can tell, like, it's not Spielberg, but I think, like, the guy who did it, he did a good job of capturing kind of like the essence of what Spielberg did with Indiana Jones. And to me, this movie I'd say it's better than Crystal Skull, but it's not quite as good as Raiders. So I'd put it around the same area as Temple of Doom and 3.5.
All right, 3.5 from Brooks. For me, I gave it a 3 initially when I did Rockin' Robbie Live last week, and I'm going to stick by that. I give it a 3. 3 out of 5. I think it's a good, solid film. I do think it has some pacing issues. I am not quite sure if I like the farcical nature of the ending of the film yet. I mean, I liked it as an experience. Like, it was like, this is fucking funny. Like, they built up these badass villains, and now all of a sudden they're just in the fucking past, and these Roman soldiers are just kicking their asses.
They shoot wildly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude's just like fucking. So I mean, there's elements of it I like, but I also think that maybe that was, and I don't know, man. Like, in the first movie, you got the Ark of the Covenant, the fucking nature of God, melting people, fucking, and shit, melting faces, and then you got fucking Temple of Doom with beating hearts, catching fire, and all kinds of shit, right? And then you got fucking the Holy Grail and the knight that lived for 700 years. So what the fuck is the difference between any of that and this crazy time travel shit that they do, like winding back in the past, or any of the fucking ultra terrestrial shit they do in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? It's just about the different eras. So I don't know. I like a lot of this film, but there's some things that I don't like, but at the same time, I think it's pretty fair. I think it's okay. I cannot wait till I actually get to watch it again and kind of just revisit. I do think 2.5 is too long for an indie film, right? Mm-hmm. And that ending does feel tacked on, right?
Yeah,
like,
does.
I'm not here with the conspiracy that they had to change the ending because it was too woke and the internet realized it beforehand and sniffed it out or whatnot. But like, it does feel like when the moment he gets punched, like they had a few options, and it just feels kind of tacked on but I also love the ending, and I love the idea of exploring Indy as an older man, coming to terms with it, dealing with grief, dealing with loss. I love that these last 2 movies, Kingdom and this one, I love that they stress the importance of Marion to Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I really like. So I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to stick by that. I'm tempted to go 3.5, but I'm just going to stick at a 3. So a 3 from all of us here in the top row, then a 3.5 from Brooks, and a 4.5 from Mike, for a PCP average 3.469. So it seems like we think as a collective, Dial of Destiny's on par with Temple of Doom, which I think is bullshit. I think we all have a new appreciation for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and we obviously all really love and respect Raiders, but it seems like the one that we here at Pop Culture Philosophers, the PCP crew, excitable we are, seems like the one we like the best is Last Crusade, y'all. So go take from that what you will. Big Llama gives Dial of Destiny a 4. All right. Thus concludes the Indiana Jones franchise review, but ActionFest has just started. We continue next week with our very first Chuck Norris movie review, y'all. Y'all like the Van Damme movie review we did? Y'all just wait. Chuck Norris is coming. Missing in Action next week here on ActionFest. It literally has the word action in the title. So what couldn't be more perfect. But do join them over at Dylan's Horror Show this Saturday for Dead Snow 2, Red versus Dead. It's Steph's birthday. Go and celebrate with them over at Dylan's Horror Show. Manny, thank you so much for being here for this epic, adventurous stream tonight. Any final thought?
Well, guys, if you take one thing away from this, if there's one piece of information you need to know, is that y'all need to get yourself an AMC Stubs A-lister card. If you use code The Voice at checkout, not a fucking thing will happen. I'll be honest with you, but you should use it. Use code The Voice, and afterwards, go hit up your local McDonald's for a fuck Mac. You don't want to get that fuck Mac. Make sure that you get that. And,
I like the porn parody. Fuck Mac and me. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Oh, but honestly, thank you guys so much for having me. This is always a pleasure. I love PCP Movie Night, and yeah, you guys have been watching me for 2 hours and 20 minutes minus the restart of the computer. That is entirely too long. So go and check out. You know, go check out Dylan's Horror Show. It's gonna be Steph's birthday, and
Yeah.
I don't have anyone queued up. So Missing Link Comics it is. Steph's
There you
birthday
go.
Saturday. Go check out
Yeah.
Dylan's Horror Show. Go watch Dead Snow.
I do want to point out that we did just barely over an hour on the first 3 Indiana Jones films, and we burned an hour and almost a half on the last 2.
Mhm.
We had more to
pacing
say.
issues.
Yeah,
Pacing issues.
yeah, talk about pacing issues. Well, fuck, we're Indiana Jones 5. Fuck, we're Dial of Destiny. Jelani, thank you so much for being here on this adventurous quest. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, man. Glad to be here. Great talk. I thought I was really gonna hate this last movie, and I really didn't. It was just okay. So to tell everyone this, yeah, hype is a train you don't have to follow. If you like what you like, you know what I'm saying. Get out there and like what you like, and talk to as many people as you can about what you like, as opposed to what you hate. And I know I'm a hypocrite in saying that because I hate a lot of shit. But it's better to take a step back and think about it for a minute. Watch it for yourself. Don't listen to people online. Just enjoy what you're gonna do, and fuck Ben Affleck.
Fuck Mac and Ben Affleck.
Fuck Mac.
All right. Mike, thank you so much for joining us on this adventurous quest. Any final thoughts?
One of the things that I was going to say too, I couldn't think of it, is that the plan goes out the window as soon as you get punched in the mouth, and that's what I kind of thought the Nazis and Dial of Destinies did. Like, they got a plan, and then Indy's just like continental drift, ha ha ha, and then they get there and they're like, what the fuck? So they had no idea what to do. So I thought that was more on that. AMC Movie Stubs, The Voice, get you 20% off. Nothing. So have fun with that. If you have an AMC theater in your city, I recommend using that. Robbie got me hooked on it. So it's basically, you can have
Mike,
more popcorn.
Jelani, mute your fucking mic if you're going to do that, bro. Come
No
on.
shit.
Man.
No.
What are you doing?
Do what I want.
Why are you fuzzy again?
Yeah, you're looking like that one scene in Last Crusade that Mike's discovered today.
Yes.
Like, I have no clue.
I have an A-list card. You're right. And the one thing you didn't mention, I don't think, was every $50 you spend, you get $5 in credit. It's pretty dope.
Chill.
Hey, man, I was a Regal person for a majority of my life.
Me too.
So-
Unfortunately, we can't do that now. Brooks,
Yeah, that's it.
thank you so much for joining us on this adventurous quest. Why don't you tell us your final thoughts?
I just have one thing to say to you. You betrayed Shiva.
Fuck yeah, I love the Temple of Doom reference. All right, y'all. Join Dylan's Horror Show for Steph's birthday when they talk about Dead Snow 2, Red versus Dead. But join us here next week for the continuation of Action Fest with Missing in Action starring the great Chuck Norris. If you do not show up for that show and watch with us, like, Chuck Norris is going to just show up in the middle of the night and kick your ass. That's what's going to happen, right? All right, we're dipping out on behalf of everybody here at PCP. Thank you so much for watching us. No ticket.